This is Siddhant Ray from the Topics in Operating Systems class for 2024, and I'm going to be talking about a bug in the distributed system IGNITE, bug title IGNITE-11641. So IGNITE is a distributed database which offers in-memory speed for writing as it uses the RAM as the primary tier for storage instead of a disk. And in this bug, we talk about the server node copying a lot of WAL or WAL files into the WAL archive after restart. Now let's look at a little bit of background to see what this actually means. So WAL stands for write ahead log, which is a method in databases to guard against node failures or crashes. How this works is when you perform a write operation to the database, the update is not made immediately. Instead, the update is appended to the tail of the log. After certain periods of time, these logs are written into the actual partitions in the database so that you actually have a way to go back. If the node crashes, you can use the WAL to recover the actual state of the node. Now, the WAL consists of two parts. The WAL has a WAL directory and a WAL archive. So the WAL directory is the current directory where actually the logs are written, and it consists of active files known as segments. Since the size of the WAL directory is limited, what happens is segments are initially written based on the current writing to the WAL system. Once the segment is full, the segment is copied into the WAL archive for persistent storage. The segments in the WAL directory are rewritten in a cyclic order. By default, the IGNITE database has 10 segments which can be written to the WAL directory at any point of time. And the moment any of the segments is full, it is copied into the WAL archive. Also, from left to right, the WALs are updated in a cyclic manner. So once we have the WAL current active segments being written numbered 1 to 10, the moment all 10 active segments are full, 1 is rewritten with 11, 2 is rewritten with 12, and so on. Now in this bug, what happens is if the WAL archive is deleted during the operation of a node, it leads to copy of files from the WAL directory to WAL archive in an incorrect fashion, also with the wrong start and end indices. So let's look at the exact workload of what happens here. So initially we have the cluster running up and data is uploaded into the caches. We have a load to write a lot of data into the caches such that a lot of files are also generated in the WAL directory. Correspondingly, a lot of files are copied from the WAL directory to the WAL archive. Now in the workload, if a node is stopped and the WAL archive files are deleted, and then the node is restarted again, what happens in the buggy version of the code is that the WAL files start getting copied from the WAL directory to the WAL archive from the wrong starting index instead of the actual last archived index. So what happens in this case is, suppose the WAL directory currently was at WAL index of 22, which was after exhausting cycles of like 10 each. So you have WAL segments written from 1 to 10, copied into the WAL archive. Then you have WAL segments written from 11 to 20, copied into the archive. Then again from 22 to 30, and then copied into the archive. Instead of copying from the right archive index instead of copying from the right index into the archive, what happens is WAL starts copying from the start index all over again. As you can see in the first screenshot at the bottom, it starts copying files from index 0 all the way up to index 7, and this fills up the WAL archive with incorrect files, and the storage runs out of space very quickly. Instead, the fixed version of the code, what it does, it starts copying the files from the last archive segment index to the WAL archive by using move operation from the last segment, using the last segment index as the file pointer, and then using block sizes to copy the data into the WAL archive. As you can see in the second screenshot at the bottom, the data is now copied in the right index with the right indices from 22 to 30 instead of the wrong indices from 0 to 7. So summing up, the main problem in the buggy version of IGNITE before it was fixed was unnecessary copies were made from the WAL directory to the WAL archive, and this led to space being utilized for wrong reasons, and also the indices of like the copied segments were wrong, so recovery from failure state was actually not possible. But in the corrected version of the code, after the bug was fixed, if the files were copied with the using the last segment index in the WAL directory, and then the actual WAL files which were copied into the WAL directory were the correct version. And we can see in the code snippet from here, it's exactly the same thing. It uses the last archive segment index, and from that, it copies blocks of size, which is the whichever size is as per specified in the system, to the actual destination in the WAL archive. And then the WAL archive actually has the correct last segments in the log. And in case now there is a failure in the node, it can recover with the exact state rather than having the incorrect file state in the log.